mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I'm joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Hiya!
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 I'm coming to you from a different location. No. I'm at my parents' house, so I apologize if any dogs stop barking.
Cue the dogs.
Oh, don't say that. Yes, I am here. I will be back home next week. This is just temporary while they go and celebrate a anniversary. Yes, I think. To be honest with them, it could be just any excuse to get away and go.
We're just celebrating leaving the house. So
yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Watch dogs. We are doing part 2 of Man Behind the Makeup with Rick Baker. And holy shit, if you thought last week's episode was like, what the fuck of movies, you are in for a mind blow tonight. Because I've got 2 pages worth of movies here.
just a few.
Just a couple. A couple of absolute blockbusters as well. And like in our eyes would be blockbusters. Probably not to, Hollywood, but to us. So I'll quickly do the disclaimer because I do it every week. And we will crack on because there's a lot to get through. Yes. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you would like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group, the Discord page, or the comments section, where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom, so let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism.
And don't be a dick.
Yes, look at that. We're getting all musical.
Yeah.
I wish I had a straw now. Right, Rick Baker, part 2. Where we left off last time was we left the 80s with Gorillas in the Mist. I don't want to go through that again. Don't want to go through that again.
No, because the Jane did all of it all.
Nope. The trauma.
Yeah.
I'm not here for it. This time around, we start in 1990 with Gremlins 2.
Part
2. He was the supervisor and co-producer to this movie. And holy shit, this movie is crazy. I only watched it a couple of years ago. I'm not gonna lie. I am. If you've ever heard me on the Sunday podcast, Gremlins is not my thing. Right. I didn't watch it as a kid. I only watched it in my late 20s because it's my father-in-law's favorite Christmas film. And I was like, go on, stick it on. It was the first time I ever watched it. So I don't get the whole gizmo-y, gremlin-y, spiky thing. I don't get it. But I do, like a lot of my friends, my best friend included, loves it.
2 was my favorite out of them because they all had more personality.
Yeah.
They all had, and I was never aware that it was Rick Baker until the prop store auction came up, and then they were saying about like how Rick was selling off all of his collection, and I was like, Rick Baker, Gremlins 2? Oh, we did everything. Okay. Absolutely everything for that. And I was just like, well, I was kind of taken back because it made sense because he gave each one a personality. Yeah. But that was the thing. He was so adamant when he took that project on that he would have creative control over each of the gremlins, and he didn't want them to be carbon copies of the first one because he didn't do the first one at all.
No, he didn't. Nothing to do with it.
No,
Nothing to do with the design of the Mogwai itself,
Mhm.
but obviously got a chance to evolve the looks and especially change them up in the second one. Um, but this is the time where Rick starts to take a bit more control in his career,
Yeah.
as you will see as we go on. He starts to take a lot more control because from this in the 70s to 80s, he's very much trying to get his foot in the door.
Yeah.
He's got an Oscar behind him now.
Yeah.
His foot's very much jammed in there.
Yeah. I mean, he was the one who actually came up with the lab scene. That's his idea. That
Right.
whole bit where Christopher Lee is running the lab.
Christopher Lee's in this film, man.
And it was like, it was never going to be, it was never written as part of the script. But he said that he wanted an opportunity to show that not just the Mogwai before they turned were individual,
Mhm.
that this would give like a whole nother level of character to the actual gremlins themselves, which he did, because in the lab you had the vegetable gremlin, you had the electricity gremlin, you had this boy here, the winged bat gargoyle gremlin. You had like
You had the Hulk Hogan gremlin.
there's just so many, and the fact that I actually found out that they made something like 300 gremlins,
What?
but I think he said that it was, I'll get the percentage wrong, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember specifically, but it was something like 40% were animatronic, 20% were puppets, and the other 40% were like gelatin for that end scene.
Oh yeah.
Where they all melt. So they made a load out of gelatin, literally made molds of the puppets, filled them with gelatin, and just wobbled them to make them look like they were alive. So they were like, "Ooh," and then when they poured the water on, they melted, and it was just a big puddle of gelatin goo from all the melted.
Was it extra from the blob?
It's just like, that sounds so easy,
Yeah.
and so common sense, but then it's kind of like,
You've also got to remember how it looks on camera as well.
yeah,
Because a lot of things don't look on camera as they do, this in real life. The best example I have for that is Singing in the Rain.
mm.
The water in the Gene Kelly scene of Singing in the Rain is actually milk.
That's what I had actually heard that.
If you'd done the Universal Studio tours, you would know that.
That must be where I've heard it from then. Like,
yeah, he's singing in the milk, not the rain, because milk showed up better because they needed they needed the drops to really stand out. They needed to, because they just didn't need it to be like
yeah,
a shower of just nothing, and you can just see the water hitting off the floor. So they needed everything to be precise, and milk does that.
yeah.
So it has to look good on camera. I love with Gremlins 2, and I think I watched this before I watched the movie. And I've said this on another episode. The Keen and Peele sketch clip with them two, and they're in, like, it's an 80s boardroom meeting.
Yeah.
It's very 80s, early 90s. And one of them comes in and he's like pitching all these. He's like, right, what do you want to see in the new Gremlins movie? And everyone comes up with a fucking crazy idea. And what you realize is it's the movie. It's the actual movie.
I think they did that, didn't they? Twice. They did it once. Is it in the first one where they had Hulk Hogan rip his t-shirt off in the cinema scene in the first one? And then in the second one, they broke the fourth wall again by acknowledging the fact that you were watching them, or something. It was just yeah, but it worked. It worked.
I feel like with Rick's work on this, give the Gremlins a lot more depth.
Yeah.
And a lot more. I know we talk about different characters and different personalities, but I think that just the detail, the attention to detail, and I've probably noticed it more since the first episode because of listening to him talk about how much detail he puts into everything. So I'm looking at pictures going, oh yeah, see
Because
what you mean.
Greta Gremlin was a huge thing, and everybody knows Greta massively, don't they? Because she's the first female one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
and
he was adamant he wanted one that would he viewed all in this interview I saw, he viewed all gremlins as technically asexual
mhm.
because they could be either or. It's just that the majority of them chose to be men because they were naughty, boys because they were
Boys will
naturally
be boys.
naughty. But then he said he just wanted one that would stand out, but she had to be a bombshell. She had to be like this knock your socks off kind of gremlin that all of them was automatically fell in love with. And I think they managed it really well, sculpting boobs on a gremlin, great big red pouty lips.
I love the look of it. I know Carolyn and Paul were very excited when NECA brought out their Greta Gremlin. They were very, very excited for it.
Well, we've got Greta coming. We've got two. I might keep one though. We've got two of these life-size gremlins of Greta coming, the life-size NECA ones. They stand about 2.5 feet tall, and it's one of those ones that I keep saying to Rob, we've got two coming in. I might just keep one and sell one.
The benefits of having your own spooky business.
There's got to be some, but I never pay myself. I've got to, I've got to get it.
Get it somewhere. Absolutely. Keep Greta. I think everyone in the comments right now will be saying keep Greta.
Yeah, it's fair enough. See, I have to say sorry, got to do it. Oh no. Oh, what a shame.
Well, Gremlins 2 is 1990.
Yep.
The next one is 1991. Bearing in mind he works quite a lot through the 90s. Is the Rocketeer.
Yes.
He was a creator for, now you will have to forgive me very dearly. I have never seen the Rocketeer.
I've seen it once in about 1993, so I'm no good with this one.
I have never seen it, but he's the creator of Lothar. Did he? I'm so sorry to any Rocketeer fans, because I know Rocketeer has like a special place for a lot of people.
It does, yeah.
And I'm really sorry. I want to say never hit my radar, but a lot of movies never hit my radar.
I mean, when someone says about the Rocketeer, I know I can picture exactly what it looks like.
Oh, absolutely.
The 50s styling of it all with the rocket backpack and the gold helmet, and I know what the guy looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell you what happened in the film. And I've never read the comic books, so no. I can't really offer much insight on this one, I'm afraid.
Same here. I apologize sincerely. Do you know what? It should be right up my street. 50s era, that kind of aesthetic, but for some reason I've never gone to it. So apologies if you were coming here for any Rocketeer information, because I ain't got none.
Wrong.
Next one is 1994. So we actually jump a couple of years. Rick gives himself a holiday.
He does give himself some time off.
And we come in with, or I should say, Rick comes in with Wolf.
Yes. Now, there's a big section about it in this massive, huge, great big book about his interaction with Jack Nicholson.
Right.
See? Post-it note.
Professional.
Obsessive compulsive. And there's a bit on it which I absolutely love, and you would love this book, Sammy. I'm not joking. It is just full of quotes and photos, and from every.
Is that the one you sent us the other week?
Yeah,
I'll get it.
Yeah, it's not massively expensive. It's not Rick Baker bloody.
Oh no.
Costs. No, this is about 20.
£22, £22 if I remember rightly.
And it's hardback, and it is heavy as crap, and it is fantastic.
It will look lovely in my collection of.
But there's this whole section about his interaction with Jack Nicholson and how he had to get Jack pinned down enough to make him look like the wolf, because when he took the job, he said, right, you want Jack Nicholson to be a wolf, but you don't want him to be a wolf because he's Jack Nicholson. So why is this film called Wolf? Why are you coming to me?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we know that you understand that. So we need you to do something to be able to show that Jack is still Jack and that Jack is also a wolf at the same time. So they didn't want like a full.
They didn't want the full American Werewolf in London makeup.
Or a Lon Chaney Jr., Lurkin Larry. They didn't want a full hot glue to your face yak hair number.
Oh.
But he said, right, because Rick took the producers aside and said, right, I will do it, but I need to meet with Jack. I need to talk to Jack. I need to look at Jack's face shape. I need to have a consultation with him, see if he's allergic to anything, know that, see how far he's willing to go with the makeup and stuff like that. And they were like, no, you'll never meet Jack. You'll have to just do it on the day. And he was like, well, I ain't doing it then. See you, bye. And because this is, like you say, he's in his era of, I don't need the job. I don't care. And they finally come back to him about 2 or 3 months later, according to this. And they said, yes, Jack will meet you, but for 45 minutes. And 45 minutes is all you'll get to do your life cast, all that stuff. And he went, I'm not even at life cast phase yet. He said, I just want a consultation. That's all I need to do, just to talk to him and see what his thoughts are. So he walked in, and apparently Jack Nicholson said, oh, am I the first Wolfman to not have any makeup on or something like that? And Rick went, no, because you're going to have makeup on to Jack Nicholson. Apparently he lauded it down the stairs, Jack Nicholson, in his when he went to Jack's house, and he had like leopard skin shoes on, and there's like Monets on the wall and all this sort of stuff. He's like,
I thought you were going to say like he had a leopard print thong on and he was just going, here I am.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least. And he had a massive cigar on the go all the time. So he said to him, right, this is what I'm looking at to do with your makeup. We're going to increase your sideburns and give you big old mutton chops, make these longer, not give you too much here, because obviously we want to still see your face.
Yeah.
Because that's the money maker, isn't it? Let's be honest. But we're going to try and make your brow a little bit more arched and, emphasized to show the canine features a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have a set of teeth in. And he was like, okay, well, I'm okay with all that, but I need to do a test, a makeup test. And so Rick was like, perfect, that's all I've wanted.
Yeah.
So they make a date. Rick gets there. Jack turns up 4 hours late, right?
He really is a parody of himself, isn't he?
He really is. He's everything you expect Jack Nicholson to be. So he turns up 4 hours late. He sits in the chair and he goes, oh, I don't really, I'm, we'll see how it goes. And he was smoking a big cigar, and like back in them days, you'd spirit gum, everything is so flammable. Yeah. Rick's laying down all the hair. He wouldn't put the cigar out. Just going on his cigar the whole time. And he said to, I'm just trying to find, Jack, this glue's kind of flammable. He just blew smoke in my face and told me, so be careful. So Rick was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So he went and he said, my nose is wrong. Jack Nicholson kept saying to Rick Baker, my nose looks wrong. Have you got any of those nose plugs? And like Rick was like, no, I don't think it'd look right, but no, I haven't got any. So his makeup artist, he's like day-to-day guy who puts a bit of foundation on him, comes over, and like Jack starts sticking sponge up his nose to try and give himself this pronounced, more rounded kind of look. And Rick kept saying, you look like a pig. It doesn't work. You look like a pig. He's telling Jack Nicholson that Jack Nicholson looks like a pig. And I was just like, good for you, Rick. And Rick was like not having it. He walked into the makeup test filming, said to the director, tell him to do a shot with them in, and then tell him to take them bloody things out when he's doing his second test, because I want to see the difference between how they look. And the director asked Jack to take him out for the second one, and Jack just shot him the death look. He knew it come from Rick. And then when he went, and Rick said, I was just convinced that was it. I was off the shoot.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm blacklisted for a couple.
I'll take my P45 now, thank you.
Yeah. And apparently they came in from the shooting to get, like, Jack come and sat down to get all of the makeup taken off. And his quote was, he turned around and he said to Rick, Ricky boy, I think we're on the right track.
I would have punched him in the face.
And that was like, and then Rick said it was one of the best shoots he'd been on at that point. So
Wow, I would have severely hurt that man. I would have gone all Jack Pierce on him and got the hot glue out and went, fuck her. You're gonna sit there. You're gonna feel what Boris Karloff felt like. No, Lon Chaney Jr. My God, how could I get that wrong? But yeah, oh wow, okay. Jack Nicholson's a dick.
well, I mean, to be fair, he's got a huge reputation of being creepy, weird, lechy, and rude. But I mean, he's Jack Nicholson, so people just go, "Well, it's Jack Nicholson," and everybody goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say on that one, really.
Oh God Almighty. Well, so we stay in 1994, and we are. Oh God, here it is. Oh, the movie that he wins his second Oscar for, Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh, he does the makeup for and design for Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. Martin Landau, isn't
So
it?
glad you said his name because I always call it by someone else, but it's Martin. Yes,
Martin. Why is it not Landau? Is it? Oh God,
Landau.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's Juliet Landau's dad
My brain
from
just went. Oh,
Darla, not Darla. What's her name from Buffy? Drusilla.
yeah, Drew.
Yeah, it's her dad. So I remember him talking about this on the Gilbert Godfrey podcast and how he found because Martin doesn't really look like Bill Lugosi.
Not really.
Not really.
Not
Doesn't
really.
really look like him. So makeup wise become quite difficult to replicate. Would you say? It was like couldn't really
Yeah,
replicate his face properly.
he said that he had completely the wrong face shape, and they just
Yeah,
cast because of who he was, not because of the fact that he looked like Baylor. It was
yeah.
because he was Martin Landau. So,
It's uncanny. I love that line. I can quote that movie for days.
fuck you.
Oh, Karloff, fuck you. I fucking love it. But he is an absolute star in that film. Like
Yeah.
you do forget that he doesn't really look like Bill Lugosi. His accent is off, but the makeup. So Martin Landau is at an age at this movie, but not at the age that his makeup is. What I have learned through going through the list is how good Rick is at doing old man makeup.
Yeah. I'd say it's like his monkeys and then his old man makeup or his old age makeup or his two strongest wheelhouses, I think,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So yes, he wins an Oscar for this.
Which is crazy to think because he only did one person. It wasn't an
Yeah.
overall it wasn't an overall makeup for like the entire cast. It was just for one person and he won an Oscar. I have found out though he gets credited for a lot of things that he didn't actually do. But we'll continue.
Oh,
So
okay. Well,
yeah.
we'll run through what we have. This information is being taken directly from Wikipedia. So once we've done the list, we can go over and you can fact check me.
No, they are all technically what is it called? His company's name was God. You know his makeup house. I've written it down somewhere. Cinnovations. They were technically Cinnovation movies, but Rick is
Right.
the one that gets credited for the makeups when it's not Rick's makeups, it's Rick's company and people that work for him that have done the makeups, but they don't get the
Yeah.
credit. Rick gets the credit, and I'm not saying Rick doesn't deserve the credit or Rick's not good at what he does, but when
Yeah.
you start looking into it, he gets a lot of slaps on the back for things that he technically didn't do.
Right. Well, he definitely did Bela Lugosi's makeup for
Yes.
Edward. It is honestly, it is fantastic makeup, but he is, like I said earlier, he's incredibly good at old man makeup, as we know from when we discussed in part one with Max von Sydow. Can never say his surname right. His old man makeup from The Exorcist. So the next one tickled my funny bone, I'm not gonna lie. Because I had to go and find out which one it is. 1995 rolls around and we have Batman Forever.
But anybody doesn't know which one it is, because there is a cloudy little weird kind of section of the movies where you get confused which one is which one's Forever, which one's which. This is the Jim Carrey one.
This is the Jim Carrey one. He is the design and creator for this one. Now, this is Val Kilmer, yeah?
I think so, yeah, because Michael only did the first two.
Yeah, and I did a review for the Batman and Robin last year, and I fucking loved it. Val Kilmer is my Batman. I'm just gonna put that out there. Val Kilmer, I think he's a fantastic Batman.
Keaton's mine, I will say. Keaton's mine.
Just, do you know what gets us with that? It's the movement of the suit.
Oh yeah. He
yeah.
can't move his head.
So yeah, aesthetically, Kilmer looks the shits, man, as Batman. He really does. And he is and I think, this is just personally me, I think he's a really excellent Batman. Bruce Wayne, just if he could just do it like a little bit more, he would just have it. But this movie infuriates me, and I don't get infuriated by Jim Carrey. But in this movie I do.
Have you always liked Batman then? Has that been one in your wheelhouse of graphic novels or comic books that you've liked?
Yeah, but probably more graphic novels. I have probably more Batman graphic novels than I do any other.
So you're invested in the characters kind of thing.
Yeah, but I didn't watch the 90s movies. I had seen Batman, the Tim Burton Batmans, fucking 100 times, but I didn't watch the other ones for the sheer reason I was like, well, they look shit. Didn't even, but I watched them a couple of years ago, and I don't know. I don't know if I fell in love with the nostalgia of it, where it fitted in the 90s, what the time was, the toys around it. So I kind of got that. Like I love that aspect of it. But Batman as a character he's up there for us. He really is.
So do you think, I don't know, in this one, I found it hard to pinpoint which specific makeups Rick did.
Generally didn't know
one.
He did it until I was writing it down earlier, because he doesn't talk about it. Now, I would have thought, from a makeup perspective, this take aside everything that we know of this film and how you feel about it, because there's a lot of feelings on it. Makeup aside, Tommy Lee Jones, or is it? I get mixed up with Harvey Keitel and him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Tommy Lee Jones's makeup is absolutely phenomenal. For me, anyway, I actually think it looks really good. I think Carrey looks fucking amazing, even though he does get on my tits in this film. But I think the colouring, especially the application too, because I watched that in 4K, and you can see everything in 4K. The Women of Sunset Strip. God, you don't fool me, ladies. I see it.
As I say, I recently went back and watched Batman Returns, because that has always been my favourite movie. Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer. You know, the Penguin is just, he's Christopher Walken. It's just an ace movie all around. It is your quintessential Tim Burton live character movie for me. Because a lot of people go, there actually is 2 Tim Burtons, and the other one is on this list of my favorites. I'm not people will lynch me for this. I'm not a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. And it's not because
I'm waiting for the lynch mob to come in.
It's not because I don't like it, it's because he didn't really do it.
Yeah, if you're gonna say like Tim Burton movies, then it's not really, because it's not really his, is it? It's just his concept, his idea. The graft wise doesn't come from him. Nightmare is a hard one. We reviewed it I want to say a couple of years ago now. Honestly, everything starts to mesh into one. It's my sister's favorite, but it came from me. So
It,
I loved it, and she kind of took it and ran with it. And recently, all of her collection, all of her like very beautiful collection that she has, came to my house. So if you go in my living room, you would think, "Fuck me, you like Nightmare Christmas?" And I'm like, I just didn't want them to go to anyone else.
I think the issue for me is since Disney bought it out, and that's when I sort of started to really not not like it. The film is good. It
Yeah.
is as a concept, the work that went into it, the craftsmanship for stop go. Don't get me wrong. I know we're going off on a tangent a little bit here, but
Wouldn't be monsters.
when when Disney bought it out, the merchandising ruined it. It literally ruined the film because you could buy a butt cloth with a picture of somebody like Jack Skellington on. You could buy just the worst products like with a character on from NBC because Disney had merchandised it to the point of death,
Yeah.
you know. And for me, it's not interesting. It doesn't hold any interest to me anymore. I used to sell the cookie jars of Lock, Shock and Barrel because you couldn't find anything back then of like
No.
NBC stuff.
I've got a jewelry but Michaela's all come from Florida. And they are kind of unique. She has a Lock, Stock and Barrel jewelry box. So the bathtub is the jewelry box and they sit on top of it, but that's the kind of stuff that I got. I also got a Sally doll from her, and it's in box and it's NECA. Didn't know that until I did the toy episode, and I was like, oh, I have this NECA Sally doll, and she is in box. She'd been fucking removed. When I noticed, when I was sitting messing around, I was just kind of, when everyone's talking away on the podcast, I'm looking at it and I went, fucking ties are taken off her. I noticed, the black ties, I went, the ties are taken off her. And I had an absolute meltdown. I started opening the box and I went, she took her out the box.
Yeah, if there's one thing I know, I'm quite similar to you. I do not take things out of boxes if they come in boxes, except for these massive
that's when the sideshows you can't keep in a box.
No.
Funkos, I don't have an issue. If my Funko was to fall over and break, I could not give two fucks. But my other collections, no. And especially anything on card, don't fucking rip them. I was absolutely mortified with that. But I get the whole Nightmare Before Christmas thing, I do. But Batman Forever, he doesn't really talk about this, and it's so disappointing because it would have been nice to know and pinpoint what he did.
I mean, I can only guess he had some hand in Two-Face.
Well, it says designer creator, so I'm guessing that the look has come from him.
I mean, really on Jim, what was there? An orange wig?
His face was painted a bit.
I suppose just a little bit, but it was Jim. So I mean that started his working relationship with Jim, that movie. And that was the second Tim Burton movie he'd done after Ed Wood. So it's
Batman Forever Tim Burton.
Is it, or did it drop off?
I don't think it. I think that's Schumacher. I'm sure it's
Joel
Schumacher.
You might be right, because it finished at 2, didn't it? Tim Burton.
Yeah, because Joel goes on to do the next one, which is the Batman and Robin with George Clooney
and Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, and if I remember my notes from that, he didn't bring Val Kilmer on because disagreements or something like that. So I'm sure it's Joel Schumacher.
You might be right. I think my brain has just gone. Everything is Tim Burton just after that conversation. So I knew he definitely worked on 2 Tim Burton movies, which the other one we'll get to in a couple of years.
His relationship does not end with Ed Wood. It actually, there's one where I feel like he did it because Tim Burton was originally in it, but we will get to that when we get to the where is it? The end of the 90s. So the next one, 1996.
He's a busy boy then.
Yes, because this is a lot of fucking work in this one. This is a Nutty Professor. and it simply just has makeup artist. This is the second. This is his collaboration moment with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
So he's ended his Max. Not Max, that's his son. John Landis. I was going to say Max Landis. I was going to fuck. I shouldn't say his name. John Landis's relationship is when Eddie Murphy one, and clearly from the what was the film Coming to America? Was it Coming to America?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just making sure. I was like, because I've still not seen it. So he's coming to America. The scene with all the Eddies is clearly being used again in Nutty Professor.
Yeah, he said that when they filmed the scene in the Nutty Professor where they're all around the table, the original idea was to have different family members. So they were actually going to have actors in fat suits playing the different family members, and then Eddie would just be the Nutty Professor. He would just be that character. But Eddie pushed really hard because he thought it would work better if he was every single one of them.
Well, of course.
So he pushed hard and he was like, no, I can do this. You know, give me some credit. I'll do it. And like Rick said, they went away for a day and he just kept trying different makeup, like little makeups on him, like giving him a pair of glasses and some buck teeth and putting a little old lady wig on him. And he turned straight into the Nana.
Yeah.
And then like refining like a big old granddad that was, you know, the dungaree wearing guy that, you know, him, and then having like a chavvy brother, you know, the American equivalent of the annoying brother. So he created all these characters in one day. He said, I think we walked away and he had like 20 characters locked away that he could use, but he was waiting to see what the full look looked like. And Rick said the hardest thing for him was sculpting the acupuncture scene.
Oh yeah,
because that's not Eddie. That is a life. It's a face cast of Eddie. It's literally a big foam latex suit that they put on the table and stabbed in with loads of needles and whatnot. So it's not actually Eddie in a suit. It is just a cast of his head attached to a fat suit, laying on a bed, basically.
That is nuts. It's been a long time since I've watched Nutty Professor. I think from like a makeup point of view, it is some incredibly good detailed work in there. Incredibly good.
So much work though. And that's why my brain cannot fathom how he's done 4 movies that year. And the Nutty Professor being one of them, with the amount of work that was in that movie alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
It's crazy. It really is. The next one. Sorry, I'm so excited to talk about the next one. Because in the same year we have The Frighteners.
He starts working with Mr. Peter Jackson.
Yes, this is really. You will notice he has, and I can just put this down to his work and him himself. He has when he works with someone, his relationships do continue on.
Yeah.
But The Frighteners, he is the artist for the Judge.
Yes.
So his work is the Judge, and holy shit, when you think about so in my head, the 2 ghosts who were with him originally, the nerdy looking guy and the black guy, they look. It almost looks very CG.
Yeah.
With what they do with them, but with the Judge, fucking jaw comes off, man.
Now it's been a while since I've seen The Frighteners.
Yeah, same here. I'm going off pure memory, and we all know my memory's shit.
Was the Judge the one that possessed? Freak me! I can see his face.
Yeah.
Dr. Herbert West. Jeffrey Combs. There we go.
Yes.
It was him. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
My brain is all full of like, beg your pardons, what's going on?
I'm just googling the Judge, because I just want to make sure this image is right in my head. Yeah. Okay. So the detail again, it's old man makeup.
Yeah.
And his jaw does dislocate off. Teeth are shown. Oh God, there is a lot of detail in this, man. Like when you're looking at his face, like full on, so much detail. And it's not just that; it like kind of goes into his costume as well. The hair pulled back, because obviously the misconception of when you die is that your hair keeps growing. That is not true. It's just your skin starts to shrink. So it kind of pulls your hair back. Your hairline becomes, oh, it's awful. But yes, the hairline is absolutely amazing because the hair is all the way back here. And the decay is unreal. I do urge you to go, obviously if you haven't seen it, go and watch it because it's an amazing film. But just Google the face of the judge and you will understand how brilliant his old man makeup is. It's so impressive. But that's all he's credited for in The Frighteners.
Yeah.
Is Old Man
The
Judge.
judge. Yeah.
The judge. Next one. Now you may have to take the lead on this because it's another movie I've not seen.
I don't know much about this one if it's the one we're about to talk about.
1996 again, we're staying in that year, and it is Escape from LA.
Mr. Kurt Russell. Yeah, I couldn't find out a lot about this one.
What you will find is, and a lot of this is based off our own eyes, because when it comes to Rick being interviewed, he kind of sticks to the same movies.
Yeah, he doesn't really talk much. Yeah.
No, he kind of sticks to the same movies, and his interviews and questions are exactly the same. The only one that felt different was the Gilbert Gottfried one from all the ones that I watched. And that was because you had two fanboys talking to each other.
Yeah, he's relaxing into it.
Yeah, but the rest of them...
The thing about Escape from LA was that Rick always held that element of... because Rob Bottin was his prodigy, Rob got the thing. And he was like, Rick was so happy for him to get the thing, even though there
is a lot of pride in when he talks about this.
And we know that the thing damn near killed Rob.
Because when
it hospitalized him, didn't it? You know.
Yeah. Honestly, go back and listen to the episode of The Thing. Obviously, not while you're watching this or listening to but the episode of The Thing with Mike Kell is absolutely brilliant. The amount that we go into with the work that he did is quite detailed. But Escape from LA is not. I'm not saying it.
Well, the thing about it is that Rick always then Rick made a decision then that he wanted to work with John himself.
Well, I can understand that.
I don't know off the top of my head how much John Carpenter had to do with Escape from LA, whether it was all his movie, whether he was just an executive producer, whether he was full-on director. I don't know enough about it. I know Snake Plissken. I know Escape from New York.
Oh yeah. I know the character.
Escape from LA was never one I really watched that much. Escape from New York was the one I watched. So
there's another.
Yeah, you got the original. So, and this is a sequel. I think I'll probably get lynched, but I'm pretty sure Escape from LA was a sequel to Escape from New York. So
honestly, I'll probably be, if this isn't already added to the list of movies we're doing for the Sunday episode, I'll probably add it. This is my way of watching things. I'm not even lying. I have put movies on there, so I have to watch them because I've never seen them before.
Yeah.
And that'll probably, if it's not already, I will be asking for that to be added on because I love Kurt Russell. Like I think I've just honestly I think after our episode on The Thing, I have such a higher, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Higher appreciation for him. I am trying to, with these elder actors now, to appreciate them now.
Yeah.
And not be like when they pass, go, oh, why didn't I just appreciate that more when they were alive? And Kurt Russell is one of them.
With Godzilla, the Monarch TV series that just come out. It had moments where I was just like, I'm bored now. I wanted more monsters. That's what I'm there for. I'm really not there for the love interest and all that stuff. I'm there for the monsters.
I'm very character driven. Like I like character based things. This is why I like, ridiculous that it sounds, but I love the Royal Family, the TV show, the Royal Family, not the them, but the royal family, and because it's all character driven, regardless of what's going on, it's just I am like invested in these people
But
and
that's the
invested in
point.
their lives.
That's the point with that kind of show. Whereas this one is a
But
big budget CGI
I just
monster
I
TV
got
show.
I got so invested with them. And to be honest, I couldn't give two shits about what else was going on. I wanted to be not Kurt Russell, it was Wyatt.
Yeah, Wyatt.
I fucking love that. I want to stay with them all the time.
I dislike Wyatt as Captain America.
I didn't dislike him. I just feel like he was very misplaced.
They
It
didn't play
it could have
that
been
was
done better.
yeah, it was I'm not saying he was a bad casting. I just think it was an odd choice. I see why they did.
Hmm.
Makes sense, but in
Yeah,
the grand scheme of things, I disliked him, and I know that's the point. That was the point
yeah.
with him. You had to dislike him because he wasn't
To be honest,
kosher.
there was a lot of bad stuff that went on with that program.
Yeah, he's Winter Soldier and the Falcon wasn't.
Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah,
honestly, if what they, I think I said this one when I reviewed it. The if what they wanted was to get Sam Wilson from
mm-hmm.
point A to point B, point A being not Captain America, point B being Captain America, they
Yeah,
could have done it in such a different way and in a shortest period of time. And also I understand where we were at the time when this came out in the world, in America especially, and especially for the black community. But it just felt like a forced agenda, like a
it,
forced like we've got to get this in now, and it didn't feel natural.
yeah. It was a
Um,
weird TV series, just weird.
yeah, really strange. But I loved Wyatt in the Godzilla. To be
Mm.
honest, when that spoilers, but when that Godzilla came out of the water, I fucking shit a brick. I'm not gonna lie, but I just could not stop looking at it. Honestly, I go awe when I see Godzilla on the screen. Like in awe of like even regardless if it's CGI, like I could not give two shits. I am looking at some fucker's gone in there and done that work regardless of how you look at it.
Yeah,
And I just sit in awe with it. So yeah, where am I? Oh,
yeah.
we're
It's
in
like,
19 we're jumping to 1997. Now, this has only just come to me in the last second or so. I just had a moment. Is this Michael Jackson?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally just out when I wrote it down, I went, oh, I don't know what that is. All right, I'll just write it down. And then 2 minutes ago, I went, oh fuck, that's Michael Jackson. Because when we were talking about his collaboration with people, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's Michael Jackson. I actually quite like this song and I like this video. It's a bit weird, but again, old man makeup. But
But it was to do with the fact that he'd already had the working relationship with Michael from Thriller
yeah,
via John Landis. And Michael, when you hear Rick talk about Michael and his relationship with Michael, he's very much like he just all he ever says is Michael is just a big child and he was so excited about everything and
yeah,
anything. You could dress him up as an old man, like a fat person, a thin person. You could dress him up as whatever you liked, and he was just happy. He just
yeah,
loved it because the process was so. He was so in awe of everything that
yeah.
could be done because he looked at everything through those innocent eyes, which I think, like
So
again, all bullshit aside, I just
yeah,
think it's an amazing ability to be able to do that in this day and age, to have that
yeah.
kind of, I know it's not this day and age, but to be able to look at everything through that kind of innocence and that like wonder that you
Yeah.
don't get anymore. So
No, you don't. Um, I know I can picture it now. Now that there's a almost like a haunted mansion, which is another callback. Haunted mansion scene with the dances with the ghost. It is very thriller in respect to how it's got a start point, it's got the song and a dance sequence, and then it's
mm,
got the reveal of the one of the guests being him, because he's an older gentleman and he starts dancing. From what I remember, honestly, it has literally just come to me in the last few seconds that this is Michael Jackson's Ghosts. It's a hell of a song. Have I ever told you I saw him live? I did. I saw Michael Jackson history tour, 1990 something in
Yeah,
Sheffield, England.
because why not?
Yeah, I did for my 13th birthday.
I saw
My
his
best.
sister. I've seen Janet live. I saw her at Wembley
Oh,
when I was 16, so 1996, I think it was.
I tell you what,
Um,
there's a hell of a documentary out on Janet Jackson done a couple of years ago. Fucking brilliant. I have so much respect for that woman. So much respect. Fuck
that
Justin
family as a
Timberlake.
whole was so messed up by the parents. Full
Oh, hugely. And she knew that. Do you know she didn't even have a relationship with Michael when he died? They barely had one when they did Scream together. Barely. They barely spoke. Um, but she's a fucking amazing woman. Fuck Justin Timberlake.
Ah, yeah, he's not doing the best right now, is he? Let's be
Nah,
honest.
hey, he can
Brittany's
go fuck
dragging into shit. Yeah.
he can go
So
fuck himself. He deserves everything he gets. What he
I
did to
think
that woman was a fucking joke. Anyways, so
but
I'm stopping myself. I'm
Jessica
stopping.
Alba's sitting at home. Is it Jessica? No, it's not Jessica Alba. It's Jessica,
No,
the other one.
the other one, her. I know who you mean. Can't
Christ
think of her name.
alive. She's in Blade 3.
I know who you mean. I can picture her as well, but I can't
Yeah.
think of her name. It's not definitely not Alba.
They're
Let's not.
married, aren't they? Jessica,
Yeah,
what's the name in it?
Bill.
There we go. Yeah, Jessica Biel and him. I bet you she's like, please don't go outside. Don't look at your phone. Throw that in the garden.
Stay away from the windows, Justin. Oh my God, we're still in 1997.
Yep.
And holy shit, the bed. This is his third Oscar win. And fuck me, does he deserve it for this?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you can cover all three movies in this one.
Let's do it because it would be easier.
Yeah, let's
It's
do three.
it's Men in Black, and
Yeah.
he is the alien makeup artist on all three movies. He is the fucking genius behind Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Yes. Um, I had to check. I'd said it under my breath because I was like, "Is it Vincent?" But yes, it is.
Oh,
He is the makeup artist for Vincent D'Onofrio's absolutely amazing Alien, who manages to make his face stretch, and that is pure makeup.
he Rick is surprising in every way on this movie, to be honest. On the first one, he was responsible for Mikey as well, you know, the very first alien that has the Mexican guy's head on a stick. And
Fuck yeah,
when
yeah.
they pull down the cloak, he's like huddled around a stick. Then Mikey. Mikey's a collaboration between CGI artists and an actual physical puppet
Right.
that they made. I think I saw something that said it was he was on stilts, the guy, because they needed to make him really, really tall. So for a lot of the standing still scenes with Mikey, he made it is an actual like physical puppet
Yeah.
costume, but that took 10 months to make. He took 10
Wow.
months to make. They had to make him 8 feet tall.
Bloody hell.
But all the mouth was animatronic because Rick went through a phase when he first started doing with Gremlins too, where he was experimenting. He had been up until that point experimenting with radio controlled servos, and like with Harry and the Hendersons was where he sort of started.
Yeah.
And then he moved on to sort of smaller little projects, and then he went balls to the wall with Gremlins too, with all the animatronics.
Fuck
But
yeah, let's just do them all.
so he said, right, I'm gonna use that again here.
Yeah.
So that one tiny little scene took, what he does is he pre-programs the words, the script, into a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they do is they create they like save all the patterns of the talking and the movements, and they record it all basically.
Right.
So that when the dialogue's played, the mouth syncs up to the dialogue. So when Mike is talking, it's all pre-programmed actions in like, and it's done. But it took 2 days to film that tiny scene with Mikey in it.
Jesus.
2 whole days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
But that's some fucking, again, the fucking detail.
Yeah.
That is crazy, but his work on Vincent D'Onofrio is just mwah.
Where he had a massive argument, a massive falling out over it, because they asked him to create, the end scene in the first one where the bug breaks out of Vincent at the
Yeah.
end,
Yes.
the big cockroach dude. Well, they said they wanted something that was more Alien Queen-esque rather than
Okay.
a cockroach. And they he spent, I think he said it was something like 6 months. It took two teams to make two separate ones because they needed one that moved,
Uh-huh.
one that was for like still shots and stuff.
Yeah.
And Rick said, I just kept going back to the director saying, I don't understand how this is going to uncurl out of his body and it's going to stand at 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's in a tiny 6 foot tall body and you're going to double the size. And he's like, logistics, man, you need to think about So he thinks that it's his fault that those two puppets never got used.
Oh, that's a shame.
Because that he was like, I just don't understand the logic behind what you're wanting.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh,
they call him Chucky, which I never knew before, but the prince that's inside the head of the dead jewel guy.
yeah. I didn't know he had a name.
No, I didn't until I was looking into all this, but his name is Chucky.
Oh.
They built two versions because they couldn't animate a puppet that tiny.
Oh.
Get the mouth to work.
Yeah.
So they could do basic movements like the head moving and it going gasping for air and stuff. And so when Will Smith and the other lady was talking to him,
Also Tommy Lee in that one.
they were talking to the smaller one, but when they were doing all the close-up shots of Chucky talking and his mouth moving, they made a 3 foot version.
Oh,
It's huge, absolutely huge. And again, it was like servos, radio controlled, and the pre-programmed for all the dialogue. And so they built two. Like I said, there was one. They even had to build all the back in, so he's in the chair again. So they pre-programmed all for that, and it was. He really said that was not one of his favorite bits because he had too many arguments over how they wanted to make him so small, and he wasn't interested in making him small. He's like, it doesn't make any sense why be small.
No,
they were like,
he's got to look at it from an actual visual point of view as well. Like it has to look realistic. He is, come on, fuck's sake, man! He did the cantina bar scene. Like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to aliens, and I love the fact that Rick's actually starting like in the 90s stand up for himself. Because I don't feel Rick in the 70s or 80s would ever have done that. Not from the way he speaks anyway. He also did 2, he also did 3. He is the creation behind Boris.
yes,
Oh,
Boris the Animal, Mr. Jermaine.
yeah. Oh my god. Do you know how many times me and Ant watched the opening to Men in Black 3?
What do we do in the shadows, Jermaine?
Yes, what we do in the shadows. Jermaine Clement from
Flight of the Conchords.
He's also the lobster in Moana. For all you
Yeah.
Moana fans, he does the shiny song. But I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying?
Boris the Animal.
I got too excited. Yeah, when we got this, I really do love the Men in Black franchise. I generally do have a lot of love for it. I think they are just perfect Sunday films. Like just switch your mind off, watch a bit of Will Smith before he started slapping people at the Oscars.
Josh Brolin made a fantastic Tommy Lee. I will say that was a good choice.
Brilliant casting. But we got this on a copy DVD. And for some reason, no, we didn't. This is just the time of torrents. And we got one, and it just for some reason kept going back to the beginning. So we'd watch Nicole Scherzinger walk in with the cake.
Yeah.
And then we'd see Nicole Scherzinger getting flung out of the ship, and then it would go straight back to the beginning to where she was walking into the prison with the cake to then be shot back out again. The fuck would go back again. It did it about 7 times before we were like, this isn't going any further than this opening scene.
To be fair, though, that sounds like some weird loop, your time loop you'd be stuck in of Jersey being sucked out and spat back in.
Every time we watch Men in Black 3 or it's on in the background, me and Anth can fucking like just remember that moment going, I can't watch the opening of this film again. The makeup for Boris, though, is something to be marveled at. Now, we have included all three together. Men in Black 2 is 2002. Men in Black 3...
12.
2012 is on my second. It's on my second page. It's 2012. The actual design of his face is fucking terrifying. Once again, old man makeup.
Yeah.
With Alien, it's like combining everything. To be honest, the hair as well kind of gives us a bit of monkey vibes, like werewolfy.
Yeah, the goggles were originally not going to be a thing. They were going to give him eyes. And he was like, but if we give him goggles, he'll be able to see what he's doing. And obviously, there's that.
The actor element. The actor is in there somewhere.
He said, but then also you can use a gag when you take the goggles off. You can have a gag, you know. And they were like, well, what do you mean? That was CGI, obviously. All the little handy, whatever they are, coming out of the bug arms or whatever they are.
Yeah.
They were all CGI coming out of it. They do come out of his eyes and his mouth, don't they?
Yeah, something like that. Comes out one hole.
But that is that was all Rick's idea to keep the eyes under tabs, because he said it didn't make sense to have arms and legs coming out of the eyes if you saw the eyes all the time. So
I'm sorry, I've just freaked myself out. I've just shut the table and then my glass rattled, and my instant thought was, who's behind us?
It's not. I'll tell you if there's someone behind you.
I will shit a brick if someone comes up behind us here. I am at my mother's house, for anyone listening on audio. I am sitting directly behind their conservatory, like in their garden. So if some fucker comes up behind us, I've got a lot of questions to ask. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My heart dropped there for a second. It was just me shaking the table and me glass rattling off it. And I thought someone knocked at the door behind us. Didn't instantly look there. Oh God, right. I'm sorry, Boris. I've done it again. I need to stop. I've brought my glass over here.
Well, the next one we go to, though, is something that you'll find sacrilegious, as far as I'm aware.
Which one?
For your love of movies, one of your favourite movies that you told me is up there for you.
Yeah.
This was a sacrilegious piece of dumpster.
Well, we can't. Yeah. This can go and fuck itself. This film in general. Gus Van Sant can go and get in the fucking bin.
Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche.
I don't blame the actors. I will always, forever, and always blame Gus Van Sant. I fucking hate the fact that this actually exists. This is the movie that you get to see Anne Heche's butthole. If you didn't know that, it's in there. Yeah, he did Psycho.
Now, I can't understand why, because he hates blood, right?
He's not a gore man.
He passes out when he cuts himself. Yeah. He hates blood that much. So this was an odd choice for me, but he did say he just wanted to make Mum.
Well, that's understandable. Look at it from his point of view. Couldn't do the first one, couldn't do the original. You get the opportunity to come in and do one of the most iconics in cinema, not just horror, but in cinema.
But shot by shot, bad choice plague upon all their houses. It's just
fucking shame. They can all go and get in the fucking bin. I remember when this came out, and I was like, are you kidding? There's certain movies in dog's now freaking us out. There's certain movies in cinema history, that do not need to be touched. Now, don't get us wrong. Bates Motel, cracking. brilliant, absolutely excellent concept, brilliant casting. The idea of it's fantastic. But that's not telling a direct word for word, line for line, shot by shot of an absolute masterpiece. This is a masterpiece in cinema. You can have your thoughts and opinions on Alfred Hitchcock. Really, you can. And I would probably stand there with you. But when it comes to this movie, you can't fucking touch it. What he did was fantastic. And Gus Van Sant just took everything that he did and said, I'll have that.
And living infamy as the man who ruined it. So it's just wrong all around.
Yeah, go fuck off. I hate him. I wasn't going to bring that one up, to be honest. I was going to skip past it. I'll go skip past it. Next is 1999. So if Psycho is 98, next one is 99. Now, is this the Eddie Murphy movie? Life?
Which one?
Life?
I don't know. I don't have that on my list.
Right. Then the next one is from. Hang on, I've got Fuck Life, literally, because I actually have these in year order. Psycho's 98, then I've got Life 99, and then the next one is Wild Wild West is 98.
I didn't have him working. I didn't have that one on my list, but that doesn't surprise me because it's very much along the lines of an early Boris makeup.
Well, so this is my thought, just my thought, and it could be completely fucking wrong, and I could be completely out of the wheelhouse on this one. But Wild Wild West was originally a Tim Burton movie.
Right, okay.
So it was originally a Tim Burton movie. Well, the spider, no, fucking hold the phone. Hang on. No, Wild Wild West was not his movie. Superman. It all comes down to Nicolas Cage's Superman. So Tim Burton was going to be doing Nicolas Cage's Superman. You know the big iron spider that is used in Wild Wild West? That is initially concept art for Superman. Fuck me, I'm getting too excited. And for Superman. And that was the Tim Burton connection to Wild Wild West.
Right.
In my head, I'm like, if there's a Tim Burton connection, maybe that's why he did it because of his collaborations previously, but he didn't actually have anything to fucking do with Wild Wild West. It just all stems from Superman Lives. I think that's what it was going to be called, and it was a Nicolas Cage movie. Tim Burton to direct, Kevin Smith to write. Yeah. Oh, it's a whole thing. There is a documentary that the great late John Schwepp did called the Death of Superman Lives, and it's all about this movie, how it eventually turns into Wild Wild West, because that's what the people with the money wanted.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh was the bad guy, wasn't he, in Wild Wild West?
I couldn't tell you. I've seen this movie once, so to me, I've never seen it at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities in some of the makeups to how Boris the Animal looks. So I would say it was like an early concept because it's steampunk. You know, the goggles. There's kind of like,
yeah,
it looks nothing alike, but it looks similar, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, totally get you. But yeah, that was I was thinking to myself, could that be the connection? Is the Tim Burton connection? But Tim Burton technically, physically has nothing to do with Wild Wild West. It's the starting point because it literally, if you watch it, honestly, watch the documentary. It's so good. The late John Schwepp did it. We lost John. I say we, like I knew him. I just used to follow him. Lost him a couple of years ago, but he did this fantastic documentary. If that is his legacy, it is a fucking hell of a one to leave us with because it was amazing. It was the first time ever that people got to see Nicolas Cage in the Superman suit.
I've seen
yeah, it all stems from that documentary, and it tells the story of how a studio fucked a movie, and how what they wanted was these giant spiders and this, that, and the other, and it just got fucking Wild Wild West. Yeah. It ended up being Wild Wild West in the end. Right, we're gonna leave the 90s. We're going into the 2000s, and we're hitting the 2000s pretty strong. This is actually fucking huge. I generally, up until last week when we started the research for this, had no idea he had anything to do with this movie whatsoever. It is his, where are we up to number wise? 1, 2, 3, 4th Oscar win. And it is How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah. Now, this was one of the most controversial behind the scenes
massively.
because
This is Rick Baker putting his
Yeah.
big boy pants on and fucking going for it.
he took the studio head on
Yeah.
with this. But Rick is responsible for what we see now.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't have what this movie wouldn't be what it is without Rick really putting his foot down.
Yeah, they basically, from what I could read, they basically wanted to just paint Jim green.
Yeah, because it's Jim Carrey. They'd getting Jim Carrey to do a Grinch movie, so they just wanted to paint his face green and say, "There's the Grinch."
Yeah,
And Rick Baker went, "Fuck no,
that's not a Grinch.
that's not the Grinch."
No.
Did you
So
watch the fucking cartoon?
he basically went with the Dr. Seuss books and went, "This is a Grinch. You want to make the Grinch movie? You're making the whole of Whoville. You're making all the Whovians, or whatever their names are. I don't know, the
Whovians,
people
you're
of Whoville. You're going to the extreme of piggy nose and everybody.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the Grinch, you just want Jim Carrey painted green." He's like, "That won't work. It just will not work. You're cutting your nose off to spite your face." And then herein lies the issues. He got what he wanted.
Yes.
Jim agreed to it until he had to
not though.
until he started having the makeup applied. There's been a lot of inconsistencies between the stories that Jim tells about it and the stories that Rick tells about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know initially if they fell out, as in never to speak again.
No,
But
he's never said it, and he doesn't say like about, especially in the Gilbert Godfrey one, and he talks in detail about this.
yeah,
He didn't sound pissed off or harsh, and I don't think Rick has that in him, to be honest.
I think he
He
just
dealt with
doesn't
Jack
have a
Nicholson
full.
by the sounds of it, so
Yeah, I mean, I get the impression that he'd just go, "Oh, fuck you," and walk off, and that'd be it. You never see him again for love nor money for that situation. But with Jim, apparently, when he was on set, Rick wasn't applying the makeup. Rick sculpted the Grinch, but he didn't apply it on a daily basis. Jim states that it took 8 hours to put the makeup on, the suit on, the whole thing. Rick says bullshit, it was 2.5.
Yes.
So there's this discrepancy already. For the first, I think they said 3 or 4 weeks of shooting, Jim would just disappear. And they'd come back and he'd ripped off half the makeup because he was so claustrophobic after having it on. And that's then where the story that most people know about him having to go through army training, Ron Howard actually putting on the suit himself to see how it felt, and he actually played the Grinch
fucking
one day.
hated it.
Yeah, there was one day where Ron Howard played the Grinch in the movie.
Yep,
So
that's
there's
very true.
Yeah, so they had to put Jim through army training of like there's a Graham Norton interview where he explains all about it, about how like it's like SAS training basically, where you get waterboarded, you get stuck in claustrophobic situations, all that sort of thing. And they had to get Jim through it, and they had to give him things to do that would take his mind away from the panic when he started feeling claustrophobic. So Jim decided, in his infinite wisdom, he was going to smoke. That was Jim's thing, smoking. And Rick was like, "Please do not smoke in a yak-haired costume. You're going to go up like a fucking bleach beacon." He said, "You drop a cigarette on that and you're going to go, woof. You're going to look like a cooked turkey and not
It's odd. It would get to a certain stage where I'd be like, fuck, do it. It's on fire."
There's loads of behind-the-scenes photos, if you look hard enough, of Jim Carrey with his legs crossed, dressed as a Grinch, smoking on a load of fags, because it was his way of separating his claustrophobia.
I kind of get it. It was the one thing that helped me with anxiety. I'm not lying. Like, if I was stressed or anything, I'd light a cigarette up. I don't smoke anymore, but I would light a cigarette up. I need that kind. I always needed something. It's a crutch. All it is just a crutch.
But the problem that they did have was they didn't take into consideration he was coming off the back of, I think the film was called Man on the Moon. The
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
well, that
the
fucked him
stories
right
that
up,
come
didn't
out
he?
of that one, that did a number on Jim. I think that was
Jim's
undoing, as a human, not as an actor. He went too
far.
He went too deep, yeah.
He went too deep. Andy Kaufman is a bit of a like enigma, because
He
there's
was
so many.
hated
Yeah, well, the
and loved.
The Jerry Lawler incident was
Oh,
hilarious. So obviously you've got the real life version of Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman having a scuffle. It's technically all scripted. The pair of them knew what they were doing with each other. But when Jim Carrey goes to do it, and they get Jerry Lawler in because Jerry Lawler's still alive, they get Jerry Lawler to come and recreate, and that's kind of an iconic moment for Jerry Lawler in his career,
yeah.
especially in pop culture. And they get Jim Carrey to come in to do it, and he doesn't get it. He doesn't get the fact that it was all staged. He doesn't get the fact that they were actually friends,
Hmm.
and he took it too far. And
Jerry loses his
Jerry ended
shit.
up slapping him for real.
Yeah, Jerry loses his shit with him.
Yeah,
I've seen so many behind the scenes about Man on the Moon because it fascinated me how you can. We always knew Jim will always go down in infamy as being one of the best character actors out there. Like
100%. 100%.
you will never take that away from him. But I think that movie was the catalyst for his depression, that has now become more talked about, and he does talk about like how his anxiety and depression has just taken the fun out of it for him. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't love anything. He doesn't love acting anymore. It's not something for him. But he was the Man on the Moon. He was so living Andy's life every day
Yeah.
for, I think it was like 6 or 7 months. Andy was a very complex person
Oh, hugely.
to a point of where Jim insisted on people calling him Andy off camera. He would never come out of character. He was always Andy. And it was to the detriment of even like, at the time, Courtney Love was in that movie. She played his girlfriend at one point, I
They were
think.
seeing each other, weren't they? This is
It's
yeah, I know exactly what phase this is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so he was all over the place, but he was doing everything that he thought Andy
Andy
would
would
do.
do. Yeah.
And
But what he didn't realize is that he was a character himself.
yeah,
There's the Andy at home and there's the Andy on telly. He was playing he's a character of his own self, and Jim didn't get that.
Jim didn't even go and speak to people like Danny DeVito and Christopher Lloyd who worked with him on Taxi and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do enough of the personability factor. He just took the caricature he saw and adapted to that. Now, that's a choice. That's his choice. It worked for the movie. But when
For
he
him
finished that
personally,
film, when he finished that film, REM did the soundtrack "Man on the Moon." That song is for that movie,
oh, I did not know that.
and Jim was supposed to be in the video for the song, the music video. Jim didn't turn up for recording. When they called him, they said, "Where are you?" He said, "I will never do Andy Kaufman again, never." And then I think it was about 6 months later, he was in The Grinch. So he hadn't
quite unraveled, and there was a lot to unravel. There's an very famous MTV moment where he gets up to present or something like that, or he receives an award, and instead he just sings the opening to Jesus Christ Superstar, dressed as almost looking like a Vietnam vet, slash hobo. There's
well.
just I don't know what he was going for. He looked a state, but yeah, he just starts singing the opening to Jesus Christ Superstar, the Judas song. Yes, I do know Jesus Christ Superstar. I like that musical. So yeah, he was. That's a lot to go from such a dark place, and in 6 months' time, like I'm the Grinch, I'm all happy,
Yeah,
I've got to put all this fucking makeup on. Now, Rick does talk a lot about how much he put his foot down in this movie because what they paid for Jim Carrey.
yeah,
In the studio's eyes, they paid for Jim Carrey. We're fucking getting Jim Carrey on that screen.
yeah,
But what they don't realize is that The Grinch Stole Christmas is incredibly like I don't know so much for us. It is in my household because it was something that was the Boris Karloff cartoon. he does the narration for it on the cartoon. That was massively played in my house at Christmas, and still is, because it's a fantastic cartoon. I'm sure my sister's got the book as well. But I don't know how it is in the UK household. But in America, that's kind of a big thing. And the Who's are very distinctively looking, like the faces has a quite a look to it. And just to give Jim his face is a fucking joke. And to be honest, I know to look at the makeup, you'll go, fuck no, I don't want that put on. But you've got to look at it from an audience point of view. That's going to look fantastic. You've got to know that. You have to know that in your head. He also played a Who in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. He did. He is not going to do all that makeup and say, I am not playing a fucking Who.
Actually, in saying that now, I think I think I remember that, because Cindy Lou Who, for those of you that don't know, is Taylor Momsen. Taylor Momsen was in Gossip Girl. I never watched that, but she's also the lead singer of the Pretty Reckless.
I knew she was obviously the lead singer. She was massive when she was like, oh my God, it's Cindy Lou Who.
But yeah, it was one of those things that people are like, oh my God, she's actually a grown up now. And it's like, yes, she's not forever 10 years old, people grow up.
Hey, I thought she looked fucking fantastic when she came out, and I was like, oh my God, she's all grown up. Look at her. So yeah, you've got the 2000. I don't particularly want to go into the next one, which is the second Nutty Professor, because it's just really a recap on the first one. Same makeup, same style, old man, ladies, different people. I know you want to talk about the next one though. I know you want to do this one.
What made you think of that?
Just so you know what year we're in, people, it's a 2001, and it is Planet of the Apes.
Yes. This is my up there like joint favorite Tim Burton movie, and people don't realize Tim Burton did Planet of the Apes.
Do you know, if someone was to put a gun to my head and say, who did Planet of the Apes, I would say instantly Peter Jackson. I don't know why.
But when you look at the cast list, you got Tim Roth, Helena Bonham Carter, obviously, because at the time they never married, but I don't think they were married.
No, they did. I'll tell you how I know after we finish recording. I don't want to say it online.
But yeah, anyway, I knew they lived in a house that was connected, but they didn't technically live together.
It was over the road. It's over the road from each other, and because of how I know they were married is how I know that the house is over the road from each other.
But the list alone of all the cameos that were in it as well. Rick cameos at the beginning, as an older monkey,
obviously,
an older ape, as they're pulling in with Marky Mark. I will forever call him Marky Mark Wahlberg. Good vibrations.
I do an amazing Marky Mark impression from Transformers.
But I will always know him as the pop star, Donnie's lesser brother at the time, because Donnie was far more famous.
Donnie was a fucking god
compared to Marky Mark, and then Marky comes out with a funky bunch. and then like everybody's like, oh my God, that's Donnie's brother. God, he'll never make it. Boom, Boogie Nights. Now look where Mark Wahlberg is.
Whoa, it's a Transformer? That's my Marky Mark impression. But yeah, who'd have thought a funky bunch would turn into be a mega movie star?
There's so much about this movie that I love. Just the sheer amount of work. Do you know how many apes they made for the whole film? 500.
Jesus, that's a lot of apes.
Masks, appliances, over 500, because of the fight scenes at the end.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched this. Rewatched this week because I'm so excited, because this is like, I love Planet of the Apes movies. I think I talked about this last week with my love for monkeys, obviously, and my love for apes. So I love King Kong. I love I loved Harry and the Hendersons, and then this one I always had, right? Confession time. When I was growing up, Reservoir Dogs come out. Yeah. And that was my first introduction to a Mr. Tim Roth.
Ah, Mr. Orange.
I crushed hard on Mr. Tim Roth.
Wow. What from that film?
Still to do to this day, Tim Roth is like, he's like I don't know. There's
I
something
get
about it,
older. Do you know this is weird, but I get older Tim Roth. I don't get younger Tim Roth. I'm like, hey, old man.
Look, it's not very often there's small men in the world. Tim Roth is a tiny man. He was someone
It's
I could look in the eyes.
it's just me. It's just me all over. I have such a thing for older men. And but yeah, my husband is 2 years younger than me, so figure that one out.
But Rick had such an issue with Tim's face. When Tim Burton hired Tim Roth to play Thad, perfect casting for the mannerisms.
He does angry very well, doesn't he?
It was he played that crazy chimp, that mad chimp, so well. Couldn't see anybody else playing it now. But when Rick tried to explain to Tim Burton, these are the face shapes we need, these are the ones we don't need. So people who look like me, big noses, big chins, no. You want people with very soft features, small noses, so we can put the appliances on and the noses sort of disappear, because obviously you've got to have we don't want to be building out too much. Well, in the end, they worked out a facial appliance for Tim where it was like a vacuum formed bit of plastic that they put like a mask over his own face. So it wasn't like it didn't sit directly onto his skin, because Tim Roth's nose is a big nose. He's got a big nose. So when they laid this vacuum formed piece of plastic, they laid it so that the nose and the bridge of the head were more in line with each other.
Yeah.
So it would lose that really sharp like angle on the nose. And then they laid all the makeup on top of that. So his mouth, his eyes, and he had some movement in this area as well. But all around here was like a plastic appliance.
Oh.
And it was ever so like really, they didn't concentrate on it enough, but they showed like a little bit of Tim getting made up. And he was like, it was the only way we could do it to lose the nose. Otherwise, he would never have looked like a chimp.
He's so good. Like, I know we said this in part one, but there is a reason he is the monkey man. Like, there really is. I didn't. I have seen it because I am actually a huge fan of the original.
Yeah,
the Charlton Heston one.
Yeah.
But I do like that film. But and I also love the new ones.
So do I, Caesar.
Yeah, who did them?
Oh, I think they were all different, weren't they?
No, yeah, you probably. I can't think of the top of my head who did them, or if I've ever even looked into it. But I absolutely adored them movies because it just gives us so much. It gives us a lot of vibes from the original.
War was my favourite with Woody Harrelson, because that man can do wrong.
Oh, that man can do no wrong.
It was the amount of cameos in this movie. Charlton Heston was in it.
Yes, that's right.
He was
the man, but yes,
he was Thad's dad. He was Thad's dad that died. And I have to apologize to everybody. I kept calling David Norton David Warner last week, and I don't know why I kept doing that. But actual David Warner that was killed in The Omen, had his head sliced off by the glass plate. That's David Warner.
David Warner.
Yeah, he's in this as well. He plays Helena Bonham Carter's dad.
Yeah, really?
And also, you have the Tim Burton connection with having Glenn Shaddix in it. Now, the name doesn't ring a bell for a lot of people, but if I tell you Otho, however people say it, from Beetlejuice, the big, large, eccentric guy with the spray can, he's the big orangutan at the dinner party.
He is a Tim Burton actor. Sadly, he died not long after this, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, I knew the name, but I could not. That stumped us there for a second. Yeah, he's a Tim. I don't think I appreciate this movie as much as for when it came out, because it didn't have my feel that I remembered from the original.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this. Fuck you, Tim Burton. Who fuck do you think you are, Tim Burton? Fucking coming in here with your monkeys. Yeah. But now, in my 40s, I then obviously start looking at movies, not just looking at the whole picture.
Yeah.
I need to appreciate this one a bit more than what I did.
Yeah, I mean, the things about this one as well was there was 3 types of monkeys they made. The,
Fucking
the
hell, man! How much detail?
Oh, I know this movie.
I
There was
know it.
3 types of monkeys. I'm not talking about like orangutans and chimps and stuff like that. There was 3 levels. You had your number ones, which were all your like main lead casts.
Yeah,
Then you had your number 2, which were your functional ones that would get close-ups and would have to move and
yeah,
animate their faces and maybe have the odd line here or there. And then you had your backgrounds, which were just masks. And like I say, there was 500 made. But there was this one behind the scenes done with the guy who played Kroll, and I've forgotten his name, but he was Helena Bonham Carter's keeper, like guy that followed her around everywhere in this
yeah.
movie. And he did a get ready with me back when this movie was on, and he showed how the makeup was made with him going from himself to turning into Kroll to explaining how they got dressed. And because they were filming in the middle of the desert for the fight scene at the end, they were wearing thermal clothes underneath because it was, even during the daytime, it was like minus something out there. So they had thermal clothing on, then they had the costume over the top, and everybody's feet to look like monkey feet were, I don't know if you've seen them, but surfers have split-toed shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's feet, you were sitting in split-toed surfer shoes where they'd just built the toes on the end.
Can you not remember when they were a thing, when they were a fashion thing?
I still have some from when I used to go surfing. I've got,
Mine weren't surfing. I was walking around the house with them.
But yeah, just watching the guy who played Kroll go through he took you through his entire day, the makeup
Yeah.
going on, the costume, the filming, and then the removal process. And it was really, really interesting to watch. Same with Paul Giamatti. He did a
He's a
because he
name
was
at
the
the minute, isn't
orangutan.
he?
Huh?
He's a name at the minute, isn't he? He's up for Oscar this year.
Yeah, for that the holdovers or something, is it? What's
Yeah,
that called?
he's winning all the awards.
Yeah,
If he gets the BAFTA, the likelihood is he'll probably go and get the Oscar
yeah,
because BAFTA's kind of well, you see, I say that BAFTA's usually determine the winner of the Oscars, but the year where oh my gosh, Wrestler and Milk were in the same category, and Rourke wins the BAFTA, and Penn wins the fucking Oscar, and everyone was like, "What?"
yeah. I love that film, and I understand it has its flaws, but Rick kept saying something that icked me out a little bit, to be fair, about that movie. He kept saying, I needed to make Helena beautiful. I needed to make her a beautiful monkey. And some of the tests we did, she was vile. I couldn't look at her. And I was just like,
Fuck
how is there
you.
such thing as a beautiful monkey? I really don't quite understand that statement, but
You could
okay.
put that woman in a fucking bin bag and she would make it fucking work. You could put the most ugliest makeup on her or what you think was ugly makeup and she would make the fucker work. She
Yeah,
has such an amazing face.
yeah,
And I'll always stem back to Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. She at the end was fucking beautiful, even though she's not meant to be. I love her. I absolutely love her.
we can move on
So,
now. I'll stop talking about
no,
it.
I love. Do you know what? At some point, we will go all monkey here, all gorilla, all monkey, and we will find a way of bringing in because I get very excited when we do like when we did the Godzilla episode. I was explaining this last week that I get like, ooh, yeah, fuck yeah. So yeah, we'll find a way. We'll find a way, Dan. We will find a way. 2001 is Planet of the Apes. Then Men in Black. No, no, doing that. Next one, 2002. I don't have a great deal to say on this, but he did The Ring. And he did The Ring too.
Which I find bizarre because what was there to do? Because he didn't do any concept work on it because Samara was already a thing from
Yeah,
the
this is
Japanese movies.
yeah.
So they were just recreating
He's
the
just makeup artist
Japanese.
on this. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he did have something to do with where she comes out of the TV, that iconic scene of Samara coming out of the TV. There was something he did with that, but I don't know how involved he was, whether it was the company, whether it's him directly, whether it was something. They just skim over it in any interview.
Exactly. This is what we were saying earlier. He has his like little Rolodex where he's like, oh, I can talk about this, but doesn't mention the fact that he's done The Ring. The next one I didn't even know he did either, because he doesn't talk about this one, which is The Haunted Mansion from 2003.
The Eddie Murphy one.
Eddie Murphy one, another collaboration with Eddie Murphy. He's the special effects creator on this movie. And there is a lot of fucking detail that went into this. Call this film what you want. I fucking actually really enjoy it. I really love the new one as well.
Madame Leota was Jennifer Tilly, so you're not going to get a losing from me there.
Exactly.
So.
I even love the new one they did, and the fact it's Jimmy Lee. Oh, hey. But yeah, it doesn't. There's not a lot of great detail when it comes into movies like that, because I had to find that out from Wikipedia. He hasn't really talked about it. The next one, though, might pique your interest, because we're in 2004. He is a makeup consultant and a special effects director for the actual creation that is sitting behind you, which is Hellboy. That is him. Oh, oh, come on then.
Had nothing to do with Hellboy. The company
pick
did.
My job off the ground.
The company did. His company did. He was not the lead makeup. He was not the makeup artist.
Him.
He was not the designer. He didn't do shit all on it.
Well, do you know how we had that a la carte moment last week? Mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
This is why he doesn't talk about it.
Because it's his name on the face of it, because they knew it would get further. But if you read that book that I was reading
for our
earlier,
audio listeners, tell them the title of the book.
The book is called Masters of Makeup Effects: A Century of Practical Magic. And it's got a forward in it from Guillermo del Toro, and for some reason an afterword by Seth MacFarlane, a Family Guy. I'm not really sure what that's about, but in there it's like an encyclopedia of quotes from every single and interviews from every single makeup artist and special effects artist there is. And they get to the section about Hellboy, and Rick isn't mentioned once. It's all about, I can't remember the guy's name, so please do forgive me, but it's like Justin or John or something like that. And he was the guy that went with Mike Mangella, is it? Mangella, the guy who originally did Hellboy. He sat down, they developed the sketches together, and basically all Rick did was sign them off. So,
well,
according to what I've read,
oh my god, no, but it makes sense because he doesn't talk about it. He didn't mention it once in the Gilbert Godfrey podcast, and I thought that would have been a fucking I am shook.
He is shooketh.
I really am. He did The Ring 2 in 2005. He did King Kong in 2005, but he's just an actor. He's not even credited for makeup in that. Next is The Cursed in 2005.
No. Yes. No, this is right. It's a Christina Ricci movie.
Right.
Christina Ricci, and I think Joshua Jackson's in this one. Could be wrong, but it was basically the Weinstein Company. Now, Wes Craven wrote it. It's a Wes Craven movie.
Okay.
And so that's what sold Rick when he came into the fold. He was like, okay, it's a Wes movie, great. I'm in, you know. Yeah. It's a werewolf film. I mean, obviously, it's
Cursed, yeah.
But Bob Weinstein approached Rick, not Wes, and just who it was, Rick originally turned it down, but Bob Weinstein backed him into a corner and said, you know, what is your terms? What will you do it for? And then Rick said, if you leave me alone, I don't want studio interference. I don't want Wes telling me that this is wrong, that's wrong. Give me my outline, give me my brief, give me my money, and then leave me alone to do what I need to do. Which is Rick all over. It's Rick all over. That's his opinion.
At this stage, yeah.
And Bob agreed to it. He said, yep, lovely, sign on the dotted line. Perfect.
Uh-huh.
And being a Weinstein, he's a shitbag, and he lied. Allegedly. He lied. And the studio interfered. They started filming the entire movie before the script had even been finished. They were so determined to get it out. For whatever reason, I don't know. They shut the film down halfway through filming, and Rick had already sculpted the majority of the prosthetics needed for not only the wolf, but all the other special effects that needed doing. And he had a team of about 20 people working on this film. So he said to Bob, keep my guys on, let them finish the prosthetics. Because if you shut us down and stop us now, we're not going to be able to match what we've done due to, we don't know when the next time is that, you know, you're going to be able to get the movie back up and running. We don't know. It could be a year, it could be 10, they could be degraded. We don't know, you know, we want to get everything done as possible. So Bob was like, yeah, didn't take any of them on, just shut the movie down. So Rick, when they came back to Rick a couple of years later and said, right, we want to start the film up again, Rick went, fuck you, I'm not doing it. So
get in, mate.
And because of them letting down his entire team, basically.
Well, yeah, it's not just him. Like, just don't think like he is single-handedly doing all this. He has a team behind him. Honestly, man, the bunch of fucking glad they're not.
What did Bob do though? He continued to do the movie, used all the prosthetics that they'd already done.
Oh, yes.
And credited Rick in the bloody titles at the end. They still used Rick's name at the end. Rick was absolutely livid with it. He said, I didn't have anything to do with half of that shit. He said it was nothing to do with my company.
You can't put his name to shit that he didn't do. That, and even if it has like part of it in, you don't know who's been tampering with that and touching it. That's like his whole fucking livelihood.
Yeah, he was like, he was livid. He said, I never wanted to work with him again directly. He said, never.
Oh, I wouldn't either. Bunch of dodgy bastards. It's a good job one in fucking prison. The next one, kind of surprised at this one. Don't know a great deal about what he did, but it's 2006 and it's X-Men: The Last Stand.
Couldn't find anything.
Couldn't find goddamn thing.
Couldn't find a thing.
Nah, he's just a consultant.
So he probably went, yeah, that hat's a bit strange for his shape.
Make her hair red. She's meant to be a phoenix.
Head bald enough, you know.
Yeah. Give it a shine. 2006. Again, we got Click. Is this Adam Sandler one? This is, he only did age makeup in this.
I don't recall.
Nope. Next one is 2007 with Enchanted.
That's the is it Amy Adams?
Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
But
never seen it.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's down as makeup artist. 2007 again, we got Norbit,
which is the Nutty Professor,
which is just 2008. 2008. This movie is fucking fantastic. I don't care what you say. He is responsible for Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
He doesn't talk much about it though, because
I am not surprised.
I think he skirts on the line of like, he doesn't know whether he's still on the fence of whether he thinks he went too far or not. Robert still stands by the fact it's satire. I've seen interviews with the other cast members, the guy who was like Booty Sweat, I can't remember his name.
I know who, yeah.
I've seen interviews with him and he says to this day, everything Robert did he was just a parody of everything.
Yeah.
But he was the same, where he wouldn't stop being him. He doesn't bring character to the DVD commentary. You know, he was like, he was still like it offset. And he used to just take it too far. And I used to be like, hold up. And then that's when Ben liked the scene, because Ben kept saying to Robert, push him harder. You're not upsetting him. He's like, and I hate to use the phrase, but he was the only black guy on that cast.
Mhm.
And so he, like, Ben kept saying, make him angry, keep pushing him. And so Robert would just keep going at the poor lad, keep going and keep going, just coming out with, yeah, you know, all that stuff that was winding him up.
Honestly, take away the makeup, take away everything, strip it all back. But and RDJ's performance in that is fucking phenomenal. Again, Oscar worthy this year. Can't fucking believe that Robert Downey Jr. is in the category for Oscars again. Last time he did this was Chaplin. And he's doing it for Oppenheimer. Honestly, he's breathtaking in it. I've never, Dan, it is such anything, if nothing, science. Always interesting. Always interesting. Performance-wise, when Cillian Murphy is fucking bringing his A game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. I will be very shocked if the man doesn't walk away with an Oscar this year for that movie. But Robert Downey Jr., to strip it back, Robert Downey Jr. in Chaplin, that's epitome. That's his. He is an absolute fucking firehouse in that, and he brings that energy that he did in Chaplin to this, and it's it's hard to like put your fingers on it because he's not. The movie's not. It's not his movie. Yes, he is the catalyst for the events, but it's not his movie.
Same with
fucking manages to make it.
But this is the thing. Same with Tropic Thunder. You look at the cast list: Nick Nolte, Danny McBride, which I still have issues with you, Danny. You're a funny man who came up with that atrocity that is the new trilogy of the fucking Halloween movies. Then you have Ben Stiller, Steve Coogan, Jack Black. You know, you're going through this list.
Tom Cruise, Bill Hader, Steve Coogan.
Can I just say, Tom Cruise, can't stand him on a daily basis, but Les Grossman is a stroke of fucking genius. To me, Les Grossman is Tom Cruise's pièce de résistance for me. That is...
Tom Cruise in his personal life can go and fuck off, but I would be very hard-fetched to say that I have never not enjoyed a Tom Cruise film, and I hate fucking saying it. I really do, because I fucking hate everything the man stands for, but it is very hard push to say I didn't enjoy that.
I honestly, Les Grossman, the dancing, Bill Hader being just so wet, you know, it's fantastic, but when you look at the makeup that Rick did do on Robert Downey Jr., you forget that's Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, instantly.
So
instantly, he's so.
You're Australian. He's Australian. And then there's that scene with him and Tobey Maguire as monks holding hands.
With a cross, and his beautiful blue eyes, and he's like, oh, I just love it.
Kirk Lazarus, that was his name, Kirk Lazarus. Yeah. See, I have liked that film a lot.
For a very long time, in early days of RDJ's career, I generally thought he was Australian, because in Natural Born Killers, he plays an Aussie. And I honestly thought he was an Australian, because I was like, whoa, you're really good in Australian accent, mate.
He was good in Weird Science when I was growing up. That's where I originally saw him from, Weird Science, because he was one of the bullies that used to bully.
Yeah,
Gary.
He was kind of part of the Brat Pack of that era. But Michaela absolutely adores him. Chaplin, she absolutely loved that film. She loved Robert Downey Jr., but she loved Robert Downey Jr. in his crack days. She did not like it when Robert Downey Jr. got clean and became Iron Man.
Well,
down and out, Downey.
The comeback for him was the "I Want Love" video for Elton John, wasn't it? That's when he came back.
The end was Ally McBeal. The ending was Ally McBeal. He was in a stint of that for a bit, and he got arrested and charged. I think that was the point of no return, basically. And then he just comes out with the Elton John video, and all of a sudden the fucker's Iron Man and enjoying a 10-year career as part of one of the biggest movie franchises of our time.
And it's the Lord and Savior that saved all from Mr. Thanos himself, you know.
Yeah, he is Iron Man. It's crazy, but the makeup in Tropic Thunder, I don't. It's a really hard one, isn't it? Because it is blackface, but it's more than that. It's
But
more than
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And
seeing the
I'm
majority of
trying to choose my words carefully.
yeah, no, that's fair enough because I've seen a lot of interviews with people that have seen it and have gone, that's my uncle, that's my granddad. I know that bloke. He used to eat at the,
Yeah.
you know, he's from the shop round the corner. So he is recognized as, whilst it's a very controversial thing, he did a job of it that was so good that even the majority of the black community wet themselves when they watch him do it, because they're just like, we know that guy. We know the guy he's trying to portray.
He is the guy playing the dude who's playing another dude. And you know what? It's lines like that that kind of help you understand that there is so much more to this character than what you're actually looking at. Yeah, I have a lot of love for Tropic Thunder. It still to this day makes me fucking wet myself. Like with Ben Stiller in the bushes with a fucking panda head. Just honestly, in the whole Apocalypse Now ending, I just fucking, why are you running so slow?
I can get you TiVo Man and a G5 airplane.
Fucking, it's Bradley. Who's his agent? It's
Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey.
McConaughey. Fuck yes, I forget about that. Where he's like all worried that this panda person's gonna take me climbing. Oh, I love it. The next one in 2010 is his last Oscar win. And it is The Wolfman, and I'm guessing this is the Benicio del Toro. No, yes.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot went down in this movie in respect of, he said that him and his team were the only people that seemed excited to be on it, apart from Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro. They all, those two actors and Rick's team were in it to make a Wolfman Universal movie. Nobody else was, not the director, not the producers, not the studio. Hence why it ended up,
That's a shame.
lukewarm.
Yeah. And that is a goddamn shame, because the casting of that could have started something phenomenal. Have you seen Universal's new park opening next year with Mario Land and the Dark Universe
They have
land?
opened it. I wasn't sure whether they were going to do that or not. So
yeah, they released the plans yesterday. Mario something dragons, something else. Oh, they've expanded on the Harry Potter world. They've created something else for that.
is this Florida or LA?
Florida. And then Dark Universe. The Dark Universe. And I went, you know what? You could just call it what it fucking is. It's Universal Monsters. You don't have fucking Universal Studios without fucking Universal Monsters, you fucking cretins. But yeah, Dark Universe. So does it feel like they could eventually do something with it? Possibly, if they've got a theme park there. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, he had nothing but issues on this. Rick, again, he had to fight. This is where his love was slowly ebbing out.
Yeah.
For working in movies, because he went from being a special effects makeup artist who had creative control of everything he did, and the studios didn't care because he was Rick Baker, and they were happy to have him on board and they wanted him there, and to then go into this one where, look at this, right? He got called into a production office, Rick Baker, and sat down, and it was one of the purse string producers. Right. And they sat down and they said to him, right, can I just ask you, this purchase here, is it necessary? And Rick said, it took me a second to read the purchase and then realize what they were asking me. And I sat there for a second and I looked at it again and I thought, surely they're messing around. He said, can you just clarify what you mean? And the guy was like, is this purchase necessary? Do you really need this much? And he looked at him again. He went, you're asking me why I'm buying herring for a Wolfman movie.
You fucking idiot.
And he was like, I have to make up at least 2 of the lead characters into wolves. This isn't all of it that I'll need. This is probably going to last us maybe a couple of months, you know, but we're probably going to have to order again. And he's like, no, I can't have you ordering this much. And he's like,
come on, people, man.
this is, and that, and like I said, that is where the love started to leave for him, because he was like,
yeah,
I wanted to make a Wolfman movie. I was there to make a Wolfman movie. Anthony and Benicio were there. Benicio is like a kid in a candy shop. He was so obsessed with monsters.
yeah.
He was Monsters of Filmland kid. He bought in the magazines whilst they were getting made up to sit
oh,
there.
that's so cool. And then you've got like such a disappointing like reaction from the studio and that.
The studio were like, you can't make a 2-legged Wolfman. I want a 4-legged.
Do you know how fucking hard that is? Do you know how many wheelbarrows we're going to need?
They were like, we want a full transformation into a 4-legged American werewolf. And he was like, it's called the Wolf Man. It's not called the wolf. It's called the Wolf Man. Biped, 2 legs. This is what you're going to get, because Wolf Man.
Yeah.
And he felt like they didn't know anything about what they were doing. It was just they shoved the producer and they went,
fucking shame. It's such a shame, because that is such a great cast to start off a universe, even if it took years down the line to build up on it. Something like, we don't need like a fucking movie a year, or do you know what I mean? Just something like to build on. That is such a great starting point, and possibly could be the catalyst for the fact that he only has 2 movies left after this.
The nail in the coffin on this movie was for Rick. There was a transformation scene where Benicio del Toro is stuck in the chair in like the amphitheater little thing.
Right.
And you know, you see his fingers start breaking and twisting, and he's just starting to change. Rick and his team had sculpted the entire scene, from fingers changing to extensions to the hair to the absolutely everything. And they came into work. They'd been said they weren't needed for a couple of days. They were sent off. They came back and they'd have filmed the entire scene, used every idea of Rick's, but CGI. They put the whole thing into CGI. So Rick was like, do you know what?
Do you not realize, people, you have an Oscar winner and the man who created the transformation of man to fucking werewolf. You have him. He is your makeup artist on a fucking Wolfman movie.
He said the hardest thing was teaching people like Spencer Wilding played Benicio del Toro's stunt double. Right. Spencer Wilding, for some people who they don't know, it was also once played Darth Vader. So Spencer Wilding does do a lot of convention appearances. And
he's tall.
He's very tall. His one floggable thing is that he played Darth Vader once, but he was the stunt double for Benicio del Toro in this, and he felt like he had to teach Benicio. Rick was the one teaching Spencer how to do the walk, how to do the slung, and he said it got to a point where it was just like no one cared on this movie.
Oh, that's such a goddamn shame.
And that's what he said. It was like, this one was his very first and only. You're right there. Saw that. This one was his very first and only nod to the Universal monsters.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fuck just happened there?
I don't know. Everything went out at your house, didn't it? Just went black.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just the lights.
What is going on?
Just all the lights went off. I just saw everything just flicker. Like
literally everything just went off. My telly didn't though. No, I've got the telly on in here. That didn't go
see
off.
in the reflection, yeah.
Do you know what? This whole podcast, I have felt so out of sorts. This here is fucking bothering us. And then that happens. Jesus wept, man. And we're talking about the Dark Universe. It's probably everything stop now.
Moving on.
Oh, crikey. Whew. 2012 is Men in Black 3.
Yeah.
We'll bear it. The last movie. The one that he said, I am going to fucking retire on this one. 2014's Maleficent. Maleficent. I can't actually say it. Maleficent. He did the Angelina Jolie's makeup for Maleficent.
Basically, what happened was Angelina Jolie said she wouldn't do the movie without Rick doing her makeup.
Good for her.
So they got Rick on board, and he said he had a challenge on his hands because they wanted Maleficent to look like the animated version, but also give her a new kind of twist, but keeping Jolie's beauty at the same time. So they were coming off, someone came off the back, and I don't know whether they worked with Rick or they saw the video and then got the permission to use it. But Lady Gaga did a video, and I think it might have been Born This Way. I can't remember. It might not have been that one, but there was a video she did for one of her a music video she did where her cheekbones were really overpronounced.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so they took the idea from there, and that's where they applied it to Angelina, because they wanted to draw in her cheeks, but keep that angular sort of thing going on. And it worked. He said he's still got to keep her beautiful in this one. He had nothing to do with number 2, but just this one.
Yeah, because he retired after this one. He'd had enough. And by what we've just been talking about, I'm not fucking surprised.
Well, at the very beginning of Maleficent, there's baby. Is it Aurora? It is, isn't it?
It is. You're probably not surprised by this, but you would think I would have seen this. It should be in my wheelhouse, but I have never seen either of them.
At the very beginning of this one, there is baby Aurora in the bassinet, and they are played by my friend Christine's daughters, Annie and Esther. What? So Christine said she'd listen to this, and I did get permission to use the girls' names for this. So hello to Annie and Esther, just in case you're listening. They're now about 13, 14, something like that. Apologies if you're a bit younger, but they're around about that ballpark. But they were
Sorry
the babies.
For the swearing.
Nah, they're fine. I know their mother. Sorry, Christine. But they were, as most people know, if you're going to cast a child, you usually cast twins because labour.
Always. Yeah.
So the girls at the beginning in the bassinet, there's only one, but it's twins, and it was Annie and Esther. And they got Angelina Jolie. You'll see her. She peers through the window to look at baby Aurora. And in the there's a bit of a scene where you see, like, on the outtakes, one of the babies starts crying when they see Angelina, and you see Christine pegging it over to the baby.
I'm coming.
And yeah, to this day, she said, Christine did say, if I remember rightly, and I'm sorry if I get this quote wrong, but I remember Christine saying that Angelina was just lovely. She didn't mean to make the kids cry, and she was really upset. She was kind of like, oh, I didn't mean to.
She's a mother herself, so I can't imagine her being a dick about it.
Yeah, I mean, but people always surprise you, don't they? So
they do. I mean, Jack Nicholson doesn't, and the stories you've just told about him, that doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, this is the movie that ends his career. He's had enough and realizes that he just wants to make monsters and aliens for himself. And that's what he does right now.
So what he did was he went through all of his basement stuff because he was a hoarder. He openly admits he's a hoarder of his own stuff. And I mentioned it earlier on the Gremlins section, but he put a lot of his sculpts, his prototypes, his actual screen used items up for sale.
It's kind of like his studio work, because I think he wanted to go in completely fresh. Like, I'm going to be creating my own original concept, my own original art. Do you know how much his collection went for? Yes. This number fucking staggered me, because in my head, this is worth trillions. 1 million.
Yeah, 1 million.
1 million.
Which was shocking, really. But when you when you break it down, they only expected to. I say only, it's not kind of money I have to spap on something like this.
Yeah. It's not like I've got a million sitting in my bank account right now. But when you're thinking of the scope of it,
yeah,
the
I
history
mean,
behind it.
I want to say Stripe himself, not Stripe, it would have been Mohawk because it was the second one. He only went estimated between 6,000 to 8,000. I don't know how much he went for in the end, but the original screen used Mohawk Gremlin was only estimated between 6,000 and 8,000. Yet the head from the thing, when that went up for auction, went up for 30 grand upwards estimation, a starting bid of 30k. So I don't know how. I'm not saying that Rob Bottin didn't do a good job, but the provenance that comes with Rick Baker, is huge. The name sells; it comes first. Rob is Rick's protege, but Rob isn't where people's brains go to when they say special effects. You go to Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero, you go to Rick Baker, you know Jack Pierce. They're your people.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I'm really glad that we did that whole episode on the thing and got a chance to talk about him because the work that he did on that is just mwah. So yeah, that ends his career. You can see him on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel where he posts up regularly, and his Instagram where he posts regular. He is literally creating his own old man makeup, a lot of old man makeup.
he also has done a recent collection in the last few years with MAC Cosmetics.
Fuck right off. Did not know that. Will not use the products, but did not know that.
I didn't know it either. I don't know how long ago or how new it was. It could have been 3 years, 5 years, could have been 6 months. I don't know, but he did a collaboration with MAC Cosmetics.
Damn you, Mac. See, I don't use products that are tested on animals. Even though I'm not vegan anymore, I still don't. I kind of try to stay away from it all. Mac sells in China. So for all it might not be technically tested here, they sell in China. And they do. So I will not use their products.
I don't think I've ever bought anything MAC anyway, so
No, not interested. My God, that was Rick Baker.
That was only scraping the surface, to be fair. And this episode, there was so much to cram into this one. So if we've missed a movie that someone's screaming at us, why didn't you cover that one? We covered a lot.
We covered it. We like 1 page, 2 page, 3 pages of that book. Movies. There's been a lot. And it's been lovely being in the world of Rick Baker. I'm not gonna lie, even just not just him, but the movies that he did as well. I've loved getting to know him a lot better. We love Tom Savini. I love Tom Savini, but I think I like doing this one better. There's a bit more meat to it.
I think for me, they're both the godfathers of their genres.
Yeah, totally. You've
got Tom's the godfather of horror. You've got Rick, who is the godfather of aliens and monkeys and all other things.
Yeah,
creatures basically. He's a creature makeup artist.
Mm-hmm.
So
2 totally different people, but I think I've but doing the same kind of thing. I think I just like I think because I've got to talk about all those amazing movies. Amazing movies. So this has been the man behind the makeup with Rick Baker. And next week,
I'm looking forward to next week.
I'm really looking forward to next week because it's very different for our podcast. We're going into, how would you describe it, Dan?
Folk horror.
Yeah, we're going into the folk horror. And we are going to be doing the movie The Ritual. Yay! Round of applause, thank you. Dan's choice. Dan's brilliant choice. So spooky how it happened because Dan said The Ritual in text messages, and that was it. And at the same time, I am having a conversation with someone on the Nerdy Up North Book Club about the fact that The Ritual was a book. And I'm like, holy shit, didn't know that, love the movie. And then Dan's like, The Ritual, and I'm like, the fuck's going on here? So yes, we are doing The Ritual. Timothy Spall, that guy from
Rafe
Spall, that's his dad.
Timothy's son, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The guy from Corrie
Coronation.
Downton Abbey, can't think of what his name is.
Yeah, Coronation Street guy. Two other guys, I don't know who they are.
But
And that's
what
about
a
it, really.
fucking fantastic movie that I can't wait to actually watch because I've got some time off. And just, do you know what? I have seen it, but again, it's another movie of shapes and colours.
You need to go back and you
Yeah.
need to. It's one of those films. Every time you watch it, you see something more, and that's the thing I love about this movie. So
Yes.
hence
I'm
why I'm really excited about this
I'm
one.
really excited. It's just something very different. This year. The year of season 2 is different, is not the norm. Would you say? We're not going the norm. We've done the norm.
Yeah, we're just throwing some curveballs your way, to check if you're paying attention, if you're still awake, if you're still here,
That's what the blob was. And fuck me, did we have a great time doing that?
Yeah.
Well, you can find us every Monday on YouTube at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Our audio for this podcast goes up on Tuesday. You can find all of our socials in the links down below. There is Nerdy Up North, Bleeding Marvelous, and Monster's very own social media pages. We will be back next week. So all that's left to say is say goodbye, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye.